shot? I'm not impressed.
It's you and me now!
Dishonored 2, Corvo Vs. Emily, who should you play as? Dishonored 2 gives you the option to play as either Corvo or Emily, and each character offers a different way to experience the game. Bethesda and Arcane Studios' Dishonored 2 takes a good look at its predecessor and makes various improvements to keep the series exciting and engaging for new and old players alike. The main addition of this game is the ability to play not only as Corvo Attano, the mask-wearing royal protector, but also as Emily Kaldwin, the new empress of the realm. She is Corvo's daughter and is just as dangerous with a blade as he is. With two highly skilled protagonists at the helm, it can be challenging for players to pick whom to control during the campaign. There are some distinct differences between Corvo and Emily, both in terms of their story and their playstyle. But which character provides the best experience? Number 10. Emily, the story suits her better. Dishonored 2 is the first time fans get to know Emily as a playable character rather than an NPC. From a narrative perspective, it makes sense to play as Emily. After being the kidnappee repeatedly during the first Dishonored, it is great to see her get the chance to return the favor and save her father this time. It is a fantastic character arc that works well as a follow-up to the previous game. The narrative of Emily exploring the kingdom she rules and seeing the impact her decisions have on her people is incredibly motivating. The game subtly suggests that Emily's playthrough is the true story. Even the tutorial is from Emily's perspective. Following on from that tutorial is smoother if the player continues as her for the rest of the game, rather than suddenly switching to Corvo. Number 9. Corvo, it's satisfying to play him again. After spending so much time with Corvo in the first game, it is natural to want to see how he's been doing after all these years. Players have become attached to him even if he was mostly silent. In the sequel, players finally hear his voice, which helps bring out his personality. While playing as Corvo, gamers get to see him develop more as a three-dimensional character. He gets more emotional depth this time around as he is more reflective while he desperately tries to save his daughter again. Players have the opportunity to find out even more about their favorite character. Number 8. Emily, she has a personal connection to Delilah. For Corvo, Delilah Copperspoon is just another antagonistic threat to his daughter that he must handle. He has no emotional connection to her. In contrast, for Emily, Delilah is her aunt. Her own family betrayed her this time, rather than those not-so-loyal loyalists. This relation makes it all the more conflicting when Emily has to eventually decide Delilah's fate at the end of the game. There are also similarities between Delilah and Emily, both wielding magic and losing their mothers at a young age. Delilah mirrors Emily quite well, making for a great antagonist. She shows what Emily could have become, and still can, depending on the player's choices during the campaign. Maybe Emily, and Corvo, should stay away from those corrupted bone charms. Number 7. Corvo, he gets a trip down memory lane. Corvo gets to reunite with characters from the previous game, such as Anton Sokolov and the mysterious outsider. Emily will meet these characters in her playthrough, but Corvo has a more emotional impact, as he has a history with each returning character. Alongside this, Corvo gets the chance to return to Karnaca, the city he grew up in. Corvo is far more invested in this location and can provide players with insight that Emily cannot offer, as she is new to the area. It has been a long time since Corvo last visited, and so it provides a chance for players to learn more about the once elusive character's origins. Number 6. Emily, she has exciting new powers. Emily's powers. Description of power. Far reach. A grapple-like effect that pulls Emily to a physical object. Dark vision. Sends out pulses around Emily to view enemies through walls, display lines of sight, and noise created by the player. Doppelganger. Create a clone of yourself to distract or kill enemies. Mesmerize. Opens a tear in reality that draws the attention of all those around it. Domino. Link the fate of specific enemies together. Shadow walk. Shrink into a dark entity, allowing for travel through small openings and harder detection by enemies. One of the main differences between Emily and Corvo is what skills they have access to. Emily's powers are all entirely new and exciting. Players tired of the first game's supernatural abilities have some new ways to experiment with their playstyle. Emily's abilities include Shadow Walk, which allows her to turn into a shadowy figure to sneak past enemies. On the more violent side, after a few upgrades, her Domino power can eventually link up to 4 of her foes together. If Emily kills one of them, they all die. Her powers open up a lot of unique opportunities, especially when dealing with large groups. Number 5. Corvo, his powers are familiar. Corvo's powers. Description of powers. Blink. Instantly travel a small distance to a targeted location. Dark vision. Sends out pulses around Corvo to view enemies through walls, display lines of sight, and noise created by the player. Bend time. Slow down or completely stop time. Devouring swarm. Summon a pack of rats onto nearby enemies. Possession. Allows you to merge with another living creature for a period of time. Wind blast. Harness the power of the wind to let out a forceful blast from your hands. Although Emily's new powers are exciting, there is something to be said about going back to old classics. Fans of the first game can continue to use their favorite abilities, such as Blink and Bend Time. This means that players can still put tried and tested methods from the first game to good use to solve each mission. There are even a few upgrades to each power that expands how players can use them. For example, Corvo can now use Possession to jump through multiple creatures in a chain, rather than just one. It's a fun addition to the power, and hopefully, it'll help Corvo be a little more careful about who he possesses this time around. All of the new additions to his old powers keep the gameplay fresh for even veteran players of Dishonored. Number 4. Emily, she's an expert at distraction. Emily's abilities allow for a variety of playstyles, just like Corvo. But there are specific ways that Emily's skills really shine in comparison to her father. Emily focuses on causing distractions. She can get guards to become completely enthralled with a mysterious void spirit using her Mesmerize power. She can also create a doppelganger of herself to confuse the guards. After a few upgrades, this doppelganger can even fight alongside her. Emily's playstyle can be focused on illusion and confusion, creating spectacles to distract large groups of guards. It's fun and makes Emily feel incredibly powerful before escaping her foes. Number 3. Corvo, he's better suited for stealth and evasion. Corvo's powers and abilities revolve around keeping him out of sight. Unlike Emily's far reach, his Blink ability teleports him instantly to avoid detection while navigating a level. He can also use Possession to jump into animals or even corpses, allowing him to get out of sight quickly if a guard was to stroll around the corner suddenly. Based on this, Corvo seems better suited for players wanting to achieve the ghost rating for each level, which requires players never to be spotted. But if he is caught in combat, he can use his bend time and wind blast abilities to get the upper hand on his opponents and flee the scene swiftly. Number 2. Emily and Corvo, they both have subtle differences. Alongside the major differences between Emily and Corvo, such as their personalities and powers, little details are sprinkled throughout the game to distinguish them both. This is mainly through Emily and Corvo's interactions with the various NPCs, from the central characters to even innocent bystanders. People will react to each protagonist slightly differently. Their interactions with the heart are also subtly different. The heart, possessed with the spirit of Jessamine, will sometimes interact with Emily as her mother or will speak to Corvo about how much she misses him. All these little details are lovely to look out for during the quieter moments of the game and build upon the world that was created in the original Dishonored. Dishonored 2 takes strides to build their previous characters up as well. Corvo is seen as much more of a father in this iteration over his role as stoic protector. Emily is much more rounded and a full character rather than the damsel in distress. Number 1. Emily and Corvo, it's best to play the game twice. Based on the many differences between the stoic Corvo and the ambitious Emily, gamers will have their preference on who best fits their playstyle. Either way, there is a lot of enjoyment to be had from playing through both of their stories at least once. Although the main story beats will remain the same, it's their differing perspectives that really shine throughout the game. The newly personified Corvo versus Emily, the regal and killer queen, differing movement styles, and story implications will make you want to pick it up and play it over and over again. There is so much replayability with Dishonored even without switching characters. Players can go through the game on a murderous rampage, or they can attempt a pure pacifist playthrough. The decisions made by Emily and Corvo drastically alter each mission for better or worse. It is worthwhile playing through Dishonored 2, again and again, to see the various outcomes both Emily and Corvo can face depending on their moral choices.